Before I spoke about the animation in DanDaDan, specifically episode 7 of the show, but I didn't get a chance to speak on episodes 8 and 9 of the series. Episode 8 was slower in pace, coming off the emotional roller coaster of the previous episode, while episode 9 is a return to the fast-paced action we've come to know of the series. And without further delay, we're gonna jump right into both of these episodes and talk about the talented animators that help bring these episodes to life. Starting with episode 8 titled I've Got This Funny Feeling, this episode coming right after the beautifully tragic episode 7 served as a breather after the big battle, but only for so long. Episode 8 dealt with the oncoming threat of the Serpoans from episode 1. The scene where Okarun being pinned down by the Serpoans as they surround Iroh was done by Kamihiro. Kamihiro provided the scene in episode 6 where Momo asked Turbo Granny to free her from her restraints, to which she refused. Kamihiro also helped with the scene where Acrobatic Silky held Iroh in her hands and spoke about the supposed reunion. Kamihiro has worked on shows like One Piece, Mushoku Tensei, and Mobile Suit Gundam The Witch from Mercury. Accompanying that previous scene, we have the scene where there's a close-up of Okarun's face as he's pinned down by the Serpoans. He tells Iroh to run away from them, and the Serpoans use their power to push Iroh away. This was also done by Kamihiro as well. As I said in the last video, the team behind DanDaDan is very big on the colors of the aliens and the ghosts. Episode 8 with the Serpoans opted for more of this yellowish orange tint to it. Even early in the episode when Momo encountered Nessie, the scene shifted toward the color green. Hiroshi Seku, who does the series composition for the show, also wrote the script for episode 8 as well. In an interview with Anime News Network, Fuga Yamashiro, the director of DanDaDan, spoke about how DanDaDan is portrayed in anime form. He stated that, "I think we did a good job adapting the unique atmosphere and aura of the manga in our show. Plus we have a lot of fun with the medium doing things only possible in animation." Tomomi Noda was the episode director on episode 8. Her past works include being an animation director on Chainsaw Man, both seasons of Jujutsu Kaisen, and the 3rd and 4th season of My Hero Academia. We actually have the layout provided by Sai and Saru themselves on the last bit of the episode. As the Serpoans are trying to steal something from Okarun, the Serpoans are ensnared by hair being made by Iroh in her new Acro Silky form. Hiroshi Nishikiyori would also provide the storyboard for this episode. He would actually serve as a director for the beloved Azumanga Daioh. Episode 8 served as a good teaser of what's to come, which will lead us into episode 9. Episode 9, titled Merge, Serpo Dover Demon Nessie, was another high-octane and fast-paced episode for the series, having a ton of action and spectacle to cap off this battle between our main characters and the Serpoans. This episode is filled with a ton of moments that wowed audiences, and we'll look at who exactly helped make these scenes. Starting with the sequence of Iroh leaping over the alien and running down the hallway to fight the Serpoan. This was done by Mika Oz and her team. This animator is no stranger to this series as she was actually in charge of supervision and revision for the opening of the show. Mika Oz and Ink Blue, which is an animation company that was also responsible for these cuts in episode 4 of DanDaDan. This sequence where Iroh is massively dodging the aliens' attacks was also done by Mika Oz as well. Speaking of action, one of the more memorable scenes of this episode is Okarun and Iroh in their powered up forms dancing while fighting the alien was done by InCylinder. InCylinder would do the original art and was the animation director for the episode. I appreciate these cuts because they all have a natural flow to it, where the animation is insanely smooth with no wasted motion. InCylinder would give us these two shots with Okarun being pulled up by Momo as he's swimming through the water, and the other scene where she pulls him upward through the water. I also have to mention that you'll remember his work earlier from the very first episode where Momo awakens to her powers as she's being trapped by the Serpoans. Episode 9 takes place primarily in water or underwater, and there are a lot of moving parts within the episode that happen as well. But now that we're talking about water, another great scene within the episode was the one where Momo and Okarun were rapidly swimming away from the oncoming danger. This was done by Mongoon. Mongoon was actually in charge of the original illustration for the ending of the show. This would actually be Mongoon's 3rd work he'd be a part of, with his first being Scott Pilgrim Takes Off as a key animator on the opening for that show. Keeping in tune with more of the water action, the scene where Momo rides on Okarun's back as he propels himself through the water in a speedboat fashion while also being attacked by the fused aliens was done by the animator One Peach. One Peach is an animator on shows such as One Piece, Black Clover, and Ranking of Kings. Episode 9 is the only thing One Peach has worked on in regard to DanDaDan so far, and with what was already given, I'd definitely love to see their talents more in upcoming works. This set of animation really keeps in mind the scale of the enemy as opposed to Momo and Okarun, where it's this larger than life thing and the arranging of colors mixed in with how the characters approach these enemies is really visually stunning. In an interview with Anime Corner, director of DanDaDan Fuga Yamashiro spoke on how he wanted to portray DanDaDan in anime form. He says, "I wanted to create something that the readers would probably want to see, what they saw in the manga, and try to recreate that and keep the dynamic panels. So then I tried to recreate within the restrictions of an animation frame, how to make those distinct changes from panel to panel into animation, but I also wanted to naturally connect the panels." Yamashiro speaks further on this, essentially saying that he wanted to bring out every important scene in the best way possible, whether it be the action scenes or the slice of life scenes. This is the best approach to this series in particular because the action scenes in DanDaDan are very creative and bursts of personality, but the series' greatest strength is with the character interactions. Seeing these very close and intimate moments between Okarun and Momo are the shining aspects of the series. For as wild as DanDaDan can be, it is also a romance story at heart, and every moving part in the series helps strengthen and build the romance aspect of the show so that you wish the best for both Okarun and Momo. So for Fukuyama Shiro to take this into account while making the anime shows that there was a lot of care for the source material while also creating something new for manga readers and anime watchers. As for the anime original scenes that were added into the show, those were also positively received by audiences, helps flesh out the show and the personality behind it. With adaptations, it's not solely about just ripping the manga panels and putting them on screen for a one-to-one adaptation. It's about creating an experience that respects the material but also gives people a fresh perspective into the series itself, and it helps differentiate it enough from the source material to where both are strong entities while giving you something fresh, and that's what DanDaDan excels in. And with regard to the fun of DanDaDan, this portion earlier on in episode 9 achieves this. Okurun and Momo charge against the aliens while it zooms in on Momo's face, and the other scenes of the gang fighting against the aliens was done by Jumper. Jumper is an animator for Boruto responsible for the scene of Kawaki using his powers against Naruto and Boruto. These cuts really showcase the tempo of DanDaDan, which is what the team always tries to keep up with, where it's fast for a bit and then has a pause and then continues with a fast pace, specifically when the Serpons were punching Okurun and Aira and Momo joins to break it up. The action in this episode feels more like a dance than anything, especially seeing as the characters have to work with a confined space in a hallway. But the space is used correctly and it incorporates where the characters are located, which makes the fight scenes different from one in a space like this compared to a larger space. Coming down to the climax of the episode, the scene where Momo uses her powers to try and stop the alien was once again done by Cylinder. Zylong Lee gave us the shot of the gang stealing themselves ready for the final attack, and Okurun makes the attempt to save Momo. Like Mongoon, this would be Zylong Lee's third work, where he'd also worked on Scott Pilgrim Takes Off as a key animator on several episodes and the opening. We also have this amazing scene of Okurun and Momo running naked in the hallways while being joined by Aira. Arguably the funniest scene in the episode, and it being animated in such a cartoony way helped exemplify the absurdity of the scenario. It's really reassuring to know that the team are just having just as much fun animating the show as we are watching it. Science Sorrow and DanDaDan were a match made in heaven. For a team to be as playful and talented to tackle on a series that's very fun in nature and serious when it needs to be. Science Sorrow is able to bring out the best of both worlds when it comes to this show. The same quality of animation is evenly distributed to the scenes where the stakes are a lot lower and the pace is slower, and keeps it from when the scenes need to ramp up and the action takes center stage. At the time of this recording, DanDaDan's first season is set to end soon, but I will be covering the rest of the episodes up until it does. But tell me in the comments what your favorite scene was in the episode 8 or 9. Let me know all about it, and I'll see you all next time.
What do you see? A lunatic now get like me.